So right after I stopped filming, I kind of came into an entirely kind of new area, and I feel like it just about warrants a part 2 for the Waihi Beach, whatever this walk is called, I can't remember, it starts with an O, because I kind of came into this very kind of damp, lush, rainforesty area, so I figured, I mean there's lots of new plants that I hadn't pointed out on the first half of this walk, so that's what we're going to do now. There are of course many of the same ones that we saw earlier, so lots of Rangiora, Brachyglottis, Rapunda, Mersine australis, Garnia, maybe Lacera, don't know Meganias. We went over all of this in the last video, so if you haven't seen that, make sure to go back and watch that first to see all the plants that we've already covered. But yeah, in this area, lots of things that we didn't see earlier. We've got Caprosma lucida with that raised midrib on it. So unfortunately my camera ran out of battery, so we're switching to the phone. This is probably still decent enough quality. We've got Mesipteris tenensis with the conic shaped synangia on there. You can see that they've got points, those little brown nobules. They're not round. The pointed ones are Mesipteris tenensis. Right beside it we've got Splenium flaccidum. Plenty of the basket grass growing here, Plismonus hirtalis, more of the adiantum, probably Cunninghamii. I haven't stopped to try and properly ID it. Don't have time for that right now, but apparently we do have time for another video, so that's what we're doing. Yeah, let's see if I can track down those things that I saw just before, because I just walked through here and saw lots of new things. We'll see what we can spot a second time round, because it'd be a bit sad if I didn't see them again. Almost slipped over in some mud. Bit dodgy, but it all comes with walking in the bush. We've got here Metrosideros perforata. You can see it's got those kind of glandular spots on the underside of the leaf there. That's one of the climbing ratas. Right beside it we've got a thread fern, Icarus filiformis or filiformis or something, Blecknaceae family. We've got Ostroblechnum lanceolatum, another Blecknaceae, as you can probably gather from the genus there, Ostroblechnum. I think I've come across the smaller one before, Ostroblechnum membraniacum, but this one's quite a bit bigger. That makes it a bit easier to ID. Yeah, I think membraniacum leaves almost half the length, to be honest, so quite a bit smaller. And the terrace species that I pointed out in kind of that weedy area in the previous video, there's a bit more of a healthier plants in here, so I've worked out that it's Pteris macilenta. I think I incorrectly said it was Pteris saxatilis before, but saxatilis is literally just, looks kind of like macilenta but just very poorly grown, so I'm guessing that because it's being smothered by weeds it's just looking smaller and looking like saxatilis, but it is probably just macilenta struggling to grow. What else have we got? Nothing new here. Not too sure. Let's see what else we've got. Parablechnum novazelandiae. Oh, this is one that I saw. Adiantum radianum, I think, or radiatum or something. Quite distinct from the other adiantums. Got much smaller pinnules on there, and they're not joined together. They're kind of in their own separate little bits. I guess if that's how you're going to describe it. Anyways, what else have we got? Got some big karaka leaves sprouting up there. Very cool. Corenocarpus levigatus. Lots of Supplejack, Ripogonum scandens. I did see some quite good big chunky Ripogonum leaves growing somewhere. I'll have to point those out when I see them. Down there is a Didymacheton spectabilis, the kohi kohi, the Nico. Almost walked straight past that. There's lots of Nico here actually. Yeah. Oh yeah, silver fern. Alsophila tricolour. You know what? Filming with this phone, I'm going to be honest, it's probably going to be easier, and I might just do this from now on rather than using my camera. There's a puriri flower down there. Better compare this to the prunella flower from the previous video, the Prunella vulgaris, the self-heal weed. Focus is going to be a problem. There we go. Puriri, so same family, Lamiaceae, so you can compare that with that. Pretty cool. I'm still just really stuck on this adiantum, but I mean it's going to be obvious. Pretty sure it's Cunninghamii. I really need to stop looking at it so that I don't confuse myself further. Got some Selaginella there, Selaginella craussiana, bit of a weed. This here, I don't know. I mean, it looks like a myrtle of some sort. I might actually stop recording briefly and see if I can work out what this is. I'll be right back. Okay, so my very lazy attempt at identifying this, i.e. using the Aotearoa species classifier app, it's come back as Metrosideros umbellata. I was anticipating that it's Metrosideros. It could just be like a young Orokawa, but perhaps it's umbellata, the southern rata. I'll see what others think. I'll post this on iNaturalist and see what comes back from that, but yeah, pretty cool. Whatever it is. This looks like a lime fern, maybe. I don't actually know. Is it lime fern? That super long, kind of narrow thing. Couldn't tell you the species and genus name though. Anyways, what else have we got? We've got the fragrant fern, Dendroconch scandens. It's in the Polypodiaceae family. Okay, here's some sori for you. Remember, a sori is a cluster of sporangia. So you can see each of those kind of brown circles is kind of covered in these tiny little dots, and each of those dots is a single sporangia, which will burst open and release tons of spores. There you go. Sori is the plural, whereas sorus is singular. Anything new here? Pretty sure it's lime fern. I'll have the name of it on the screen for you. More of this Euchiton species. Could be, I mean, I only know like 3 or 4 of them. It looks kind of like Involucratus, Euchiton Involucratus, if that's how you say it. I'll have to double check that before I make any claims. Always gotta check those things. I've got another weed here actually, Rigoron kavinskianus. No good. Bad stuff. And yeah, I think I remember there's a few more things down the bottom here that were somewhat new. I think there's another weed that I wanted to point out. I've got a Schefflera digitata here, Patete, the 7-finger, but I mean, I don't always follow that rule, so don't count on counting the number of leaflets to identify your plants. That's the main takeaway from that. more faux, Entalia arborescens, brachyglottis, more of that terrace, Messalenta, and here's another native. We've got Parapolysticum something or other, Microsorum maybe. You can see we've got those clusters of sporangia there. I'll go into more detail in another video, probably all about the difference in those sori between Polypodiaceae that we saw previously with the fragrant fern, and then the shield ferns, which is what we just looked at, the Parapolysticum. That's in the Dryopteridaceae family. Despite the sori looking quite similar, they aren't all that closely related. So that's something to keep in mind. I suppose I can explain that now, that the shield fern has a bit of a shield covering each cluster, which is an indusium. Anyways, here's the Ripagonum scandens that I mentioned before. There's the leaves of it anyway. You don't usually see this because you usually just see kind of a tangle of vines growing. So it's always cool to see that. More karaka. And I may have walked straight past that weed that I wanted to point out. It was the spindleberry or something. I think I've missed it. Spindleberry, Euonymus japonicus. That's another bad weed we need to keep an eye out for. Don't know much more else about it though, so couldn't tell you if it's easy to control or not. But yeah, anyways, we'll see what's around this corner, because I may not have passed it yet. But I think we're nearing kind of the end of the stretch that I walked through earlier. Unfortunately, we've just missed the Rangiora flowering season, it looks. That would have been cool to see, but I suppose wasn't meant to be. This ground is very wet. I did not wear my walking shoes, as you can see, but all will be fine. Okay, yeah, I think that's, to be honest, yeah, we're getting back to the area of hacked pampas that we saw in the previous video, so I think this will be the end of part 2, so thanks for watching again if you've watched both of these, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.